Hello and welcome to Big Orbit Games unboxing video, the latest Future Card Buddyfight booster set, H-BT01 Neo Enforcer version E. My name is Simon and I am joined today by James Tan.
James Tan, hello.
So, this set combines cards from the Japanese H-BT01 Giga Future and then 11 cards from the super strong Buddy Rare Double Deck, which was the first special series set in Japan. So, let's get straight into this box. So, at the top here, we've got a box topper.
This is the box topper. It is Purgatory Knight's Angry Hand Dragon, and was destroyed by the effects of a monster. I can pay a gauge and destroy an item on the opponent's field. This is really good now because the items have become very strong in the format, especially when you have stuff like the Buddy Glory Seeker. In Dungeon World, which gives you a second chance at life if you reach 0.
So let's get straight into this. So,
that's one
booster.
First booster. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, everywhere.
Still here, still here. Okay, so we start off with the new Hero World, and that's distinctive in the blue patterning, and it's quite a clean bordering compared to a few of the other stuff like Dragon World and what have you. This is Second Warrior Spider as part of the Quartet 5. And the Quartet 5 are quite interesting because they fit into the Super Sentai Power Rangers theme and are also strange German offshoots of numbers.
Yes.
So 4,000, 2 crit and 3,000 is quite a good grade size 1 in that respect. Disaster Quake Dragon, pay 1 gauge for a 5/9 size 2. This is reminiscent of Arm Knight Golem, but for Dragon World, in that he's basically a big wall, which is good if you want a for defensive deck. This is the Horn of Demise, Yowler Horn. You pay 1 gauge, and you search for 1 great spell, Fimbulwinter, to put into your hand and put into the deck. Because the Asgard cards require very specific cards to kick off their Ragnarok, being able to shoot a Fimbulwinter is a must-have, let alone for 1 gauge.
And in the Japanese it had slightly different text?
Yes! The Japanese, as part of the super strong Buddy Rare deck, gave this card a bit of a boost for younger players, to say the least.
Yeah.
So in addition to being able to tech Great Spell Fimbulwinter, if you were a primary school student, you were also allowed a copy of Great Spell Ragnarok, making the setup that much easier. Unfortunately, the English do not discriminate by age. So now we have Dragon Knight Bat Master Son, and this is a creature size 1 with move, which would be very useful these days, especially now that the Dragon Knights are actually prominent. And we've pulled a double R from the start.
Ooh, right at the start.
Super Armor Dragon, Vajra Blaster Dragon. So to call this, you need 4 or more red dragons in the drop zone, so Drumbunk dragons and such, and to pay 3 gauge and put the top card from the deck into the soul for a soul guard. And when this card is attacked for the turn, you can nullify penetrates, and it's a double attack size 3. This is actually really good in light of the other cards that are coming out here, because we have the Crimson Battlers as part of Buddyfight 100. And Crimson Battlers all seem to get penetrate when fist item cards appear. So to have that nullified is pretty vital now, if you want to play a generic Dragon World build. Pack number 2.
Pack 2.
Hopefully I can hold 2-pack a bit longer than 1 pack. Oh, here that's the first of the star cards, much hype for everyone. The star cards are based on constellations, and this is Procyon Melampus, a 4/12 size 0. This is another one of the Quartet 5. Third Warrior Drider, and it's a 3/4. So far the Quartet 5 are strangely vanilla, but I'm aware that later on they combo piece. This is Crimson Battler Radical Leg Dragon. And if you have an item equipped, the card's power and defense increase by 2,000. So right now it's a 4/3, but if you have an item equipped, and this is Dragon World, so that's very likely, you'll have a size 1 that's 6/15, which is very good actually. Another one of the Olympus Stars, Taurus Aldebaran, which has Penetrate and is a 522 size 2. Penetrate, nothing wrong with Penetrate, we all like Penetrate.
Yep.
And it is very strong as well, so 5,000. You put in a link attack, and it could still carry as part of the Falling Stars. Drum Bunker Dragon, Crimson Butler, Drum Bunker Dragon, 532, size 2 monster. This is the new drum as part of Buddyfight 100, so you'll have seen him on YouTube in recent weeks. And you pay 1 gauge and put the top card in the deck to soul for a soul guard, and if you have a card equipped with Fist in the name, it gets Penetrate. So that's what I was on about with the Crimson Battlers earlier.
So Drum Bunker is sort of like Buddyfight's version of Blaster Blade.
Yeah, he is their ultimate hero kind of card. The only difference, well, the similarity lies in the fact that you can get so many variants of drum across this game in different worlds and such. I believe this set has a Hero World Drum Bunker Dragon.
Cool.
It's part of the Buddy Police. So this is Sulaz's Guard, and you choose a monster on your field. It gains 2,000 power for the turn and Penetrate. And this is a rune enhancement spell. So anyone in Ledger World can use this, and it's, you know, is a free Penetrate. You get high cost monsters which can just go through, especially if you have that wolf from Asgard.
Yes, I actually mean, yeah. I can't remember his name.
This is Ice Emperor Thraldemir, and he is a 632 size 2, very much a vanilla beat stick kind of character, which is good. It's like Armonite Eagle, I believe, the first Eagle. No, not Eagle. The first one. Armonite Minotaur was the one I'm referring to. It's the 3 criticals and the fact that he can hit most things. Ninth Warrior 9. Wonderful naming, I must say, from the Quartet 5 there. So this will be the first card we have for Hero World's new mechanic, which is Transform in this case. Transform and Ride are 2 terms used in Hero World, where you can treat the monster like an item, which means that your opponent has to get through a base defense every time they go through. That makes stuff like Armonite Gargoyle a bit more difficult to get past, because you have to bypass defense instead of just crit them. In addition to that, Ninth Warrior 9 has a transform skill, so whilst you've transformed into him, the card can attack even if there is a Quartet 5 creature in your center. So he's like a bypass gun card of sort.
That's quite a nice ability.
3-1-3 makes that a bit more even, I suppose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can still do free damage, and you have 3,000 defensive to get through each time. What's also good is because it's a Superhero Quartet 5, any relevant counters can still be applied to you. This is the Type 36 Armored Convoy Rygo, and he has the Ride ability, which is exactly the same as Transform. I suppose the only difference is you cannot transform into a tank.
But you can ride a tank.
You can ride a tank, that's perfectly reasonable. 434, size 3, and pay 2 gauge to ride him. Oh, and an impact card now. This will make putting into the camera even easier. 5th, Omni Divine Arts Howling Storm. An impact card where you pay, if you have 6 life or less, you pay 3 gauge, destroy one of the opponent's cards on the field and deal 2 damage.
But it's not like most impact cards tend to be an instant kill sort of thing, don't they?
Yeah, most of them are attempting to just finish the game rather than press advantage slowly. But this fits into the Tembu cards theme a bit more because it's about destroying cards rather than damaging life. And because it's 6 life or less, it's much easier to cast. This is our first of the Ancient World cards. Ancient World is back after the long absence from the extra booster. This is Island Dragon of the Origin Little Land Moo, who is a size 0, a 4/1/1. These are like the Armonite Eagles from the Danger World deck long ago, in that they are wonderful beat sticks for size 0 because you can just link attack. And bearing in mind that our Ancient World enjoys size 3s, having size 0s is vital. Card Serpent is a vanilla 5/2/2 size 1, similar to Thousand Rapier Dragon, but he forms part of Hero World's new Brave Machine combo piece, which we can explain later. Unfortunately, taros have got competition in the world of generics in that Battle Deity Robos are here. This is Battle Deity Robo Sky Dragon, who is a 621 size 1 that costs 1 gauge to pull. Crimson Battler Break Shoulder Dragon, who literally is a crit beast. So 131 size 1, no pay cost, and we do not need words if we can fight it out.
That's just a nice vanilla with a huge crit on it.
Yeah. These are the new Ancient World Dragons, and they are Raging Spirits, the Bash Dragon Emperor Champion Lord. Core cost 2 gauge, and when the opponent's card attacks, you change the target of the attack to this card. This card also has double attack and lifelink 2, 926 size 3. These are a new mechanic because the old main Ancient World was based around Dual Seeger, and I think they've decided that maybe they should try and form a new separate archetype of sorts by having these Raging Spirits over the Dragon Lords. And what's interesting is that they are redirecting in a similar way to Hearthstone, the game's taunt mechanic.
Yeah.
In that you can try and leave your center open for once in Ancient World, because they have to attack these creatures. And that could spring up for counterattack cards and such, so you can trick them almost.
I'd just say I'm impressed with the number of titles he has. He's an Emperor, Champion, Lord.
And a Raging Spirit. I believe this is pack number 5 or so, 5 or 6. And my pack opening abilities have not improved. Okay, this is another one of the star cards from Legend World. It's Capella Origar, a 415 size 1. Excuse me. This is another Crimson Battler. Crimson Battler Bay Rush Drake, 521. It's essentially the Crimson Battler version of 1000 Rapier Dragon, like stat for stat. Another Actonite. Actonite's the Moon. Core cost is 1 gauge for a 713 Actonite, size 1. So it's a bit more power than Actonites are usually known for. Like that. Card Rhino, the second part of our wonderful Brave Machine super combo piece. The Act skill is a Rhino Crush to pay 1 gauge, and for the turn, Card Rhino will gain 2000 power and penetrate. So normally he is a 426 size 2 monster, but if you use his Rhino Crush, he will go 6k and go through the center. Ooh. We have here one of the first of the 100 demons as part of Buddyfight H. This is the demon symbol. You know, a symbol per demon, so 100 demons, 100 seals, eventually. This is Ice Prison Emperor Cocytus Greed. Many of you will have seen him on the YouTube by now. He is a 424 size 2, and when he enters the field, he can place a card from your opponent's gauge into their drop zone, and you can take a gauge from the deck to your gauge. So essentially, you're stealing gauge, like thematically. And the Act skill is pay 3 gauge to destroy a card on your opponent's field. So you can lifelink 1, so when he dies, he has to, you lose 1 life for playing him, because he's quite overpowered with his skills. And he's quite a nice double R, really.
Yeah, the foiling looks nice on that one as well.
The foiling is very nice. It's still a mystery as to the 100 Demons plotline at this point in the show, but it appears that they all serve a greater super creature in a similar manner to as Dahaka did for Darkness Dragonlord. So at the time of this recording, there are only 2 of the 100 demons revealed, and the booster set actually reveals far more. Another Spider, we're starting to get a few repeats now. This is the Sky Splitting Armor Masaral, which is a 3000 power crit 2 Ancient World weapon, which is your standard kind of weapon. Dragonic Repair Shield is pay 2 gauge to return a dragon shield from the drop zone to your hand. And it frustrates anyone not using Dragon World, frankly, because more dragon shields.
That is incredibly frustrating.
Okay, so this is the Burning Right Brooder. This is one of the supports that Dual Seeger is looking for, but honestly is probably staple now for most of Ancient World. Its Act skill is Explosive Fire Power Blast. If you have a size 3 on your field, you rest this card, and you destroy all defense 2000 or less monsters on your opponent's field. On the text by itself, it doesn't look as incredible as I'm making it sound, but again, it's a combo piece with the left brooder, which we should find eventually.
Ooh.
So that goes that. Impact! This is literally called Impact, double sword slasher. Yeah, Impact, double sword slasher. You can only do this if you've ridden Ultimate Card Burn, and neither you nor your opponent have a monster in the center, and you pay 4 gauge to deal 5 damage to the opponent. So it's very similar to Roaring Slash Gargantua Punisher, but because you have to have Ultimate Card Burn, the cost is 1 less in the gauge. Very good. Yeah, that's another thing with the hero worlds. Because the ride and transform skills are a good defensive wall, it seems the impacts are very specific to their archetypes. So they're no longer about if you have these very generic terms, it's very much you have to be riding or transformed into that card.
So I noticed that one, you don't have to have a certain life total. You need a certain card, but you don't have to have a certain life total.
Yeah, that is true. And for 5 life, you can end the game rather quickly if you can assemble Ultimate Card Burn in time. This is Reckless Bravery, which is another one of the Quartet 5 themed cards, an enhancement. So you choose a monster on the field, and for the turn it gains 5,000 and Penetrate, and at the end of it, that monster enters your gauge rather than the drop zone, which is very interesting. So you don't really minus at all from that card.
And again, the hero world seems to use quite a lot of gauge, so...
This is true. Red Dragon Shield, more Dragon Shields, more power. Standard Dragon Shield texting, where you need a clear center, and it's your opponent's turn. However, this time you must pay 2 gauge to activate it, and it nullifies the attack and deals 1 damage to the opponent. Another Radical Leg Dragon. And Actinites the Star. At the beginning of your main phase, you gain 1 life. Pretty textbook thing there.
Yeah.
2, 1, 1, and size 1. And the R for this set is Drago Defense. You may only cast this during your opponent's turn and your monster's being attacked. A counter card, and you choose a monster in battle. For the battle, it gains 4,000 defense and counter attack. This is quite interesting because it does not specify a certain archetype. So it's not like with Drago Energy that needs armor dragons, or with the equivalent for Dragon Knights. This can be used in anything, basically. So you could have 2 sets of 8 for counterattacks.
Nice.
Mysterious card pack number I've forgotten.
I think that's number 11.
Perhaps. Please tell us, dear viewer. This is another part of the hero world, the Brave Machines. Heavy Trooper Metal Prisoner. The ride cost is pay 1 gauge, and he is a 4/2/2 size 1 monster. Crimson Battler Shield Arm Dragon, who is a 2/3/7 size 2, so he's very much more defensive based. If you'd like to change, if you feel like your Crimson Battlers are too exposed, essentially, you can sideboard stuff like Shield Arm Dragon to protect you if you need to, or if you don't have the fist card just yet. Actinites the Sun, who looks really cool actually, like all glowy and stuff. A 4,002, 6,000 size 2 monster. The same principle as the Shield Arm Dragon, very much a I will keep you in the middle and protect myself sort of scenario. Dragonic Air Raid, where you pay 3 gauge and a life to destroy a card in the field. So it's a fairly heavy cost, but being able to destroy any card is pretty valuable, because most of these cards are, say, Dragonic Destroy takes out a monster, whilst in the new format, items and set spells are equally important now. And we have a triple R, a really shiny one.
That is.
This is Ultimate Neo Dragon, Drum the Future. Many of you will have seen this in the final episode of Future Card Buddyfight before they started 100. Size 2, 11,000 power, 3 crit, and 4,000 defense. Pay 2 gauge to call him, and a counteract skill is when he link attacks with you. If you have 5 life or less, you may pay 1 gauge and discard a card from your hand. If you do, the attack cannot be nullified and the damage cannot be reduced. So it almost doubles as a constant finisher, because they just can't stop your attack at all. Even if they use things like White Dragon Shield, they can't reduce the damage. And you combo that in with, say, a penetrating item or anything like that, and your crit just goes even higher. So that's very shiny and very nice.
That is a very nice card.
A possibility spun by the limitless future. A miracle.
I love the flavor text from Buddyfight.
Miracles are literally flaming dragons with drills. And I'm really struggling with opening packs today.
Yeah. Open, damn you.
So this is Gathering of the Armed Dragons, Ancient World spell for a counter attack with the Raging Spirits. They get 3000 power and defense and a counter attack. So that's pretty standard for most builds, so it's good that Raging Spirits have that. Especially when you bear in mind that the Raging Spirit cards are all redirecting taunt cards.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you could have, for instance, the Champion Lord on your left and an item in the center, and even if they attack you, you can go, Champion Lord, like, fight him instead. By the way, Gathering the Armed Dragons means I will attack you. This is a Serious Lilaps, a 521 size 1, which is the equivalent of 1000 Rapier again. Dragonic Repair Weapon, which lets you return an item from your drop zone to your hand as a counter to items of sorts.
So it's useful with a lot. There's a lot more items and a lot more destruction for them now. So.
Oh, this is Moonwolf Managarm, which is another card that is unaffected by Gleipnir. So this is a 936 size 3 with Penetrate, paying 2 gauge to cost. And what's good about this, I know there's a bit of an argument between this and the other much bigger wolf.
Yes.
Who we are trying to remember the name of quite desperately.
Yeah.
The issue here is that whilst it is weaker than the original wolf, the original wolf had to be played through Gleipnir's effect essentially, because otherwise you'd have to pay 5 gauge to play. This is much more balanced in that you can play Managarm just normally if you have to. So it's dependent on how confident you are in your build consistency, I suppose. This is Demonic Fairy Dragon Sorcière, who is a really purple spirit dragon kind of thing. A 421 size 1. You pay 1 gauge to call him, and when he attacks, when attacked by this card destroys your opponent's monster, this turn it gets a double attack. So it's a similar stream to the Spectral Strikes from Darkness Dragon World, except that it's getting double attack instead of dealing random damage. Hero World spell, fire all cannons. Pay 2 gauge and destroy all monsters on your opponent's field with 3000 or less power or 3000 or less defense. So that's your choice really. And it's very good clear, to be honest, for 2 gauge. Another Horn of Demise Yalahorn. Ooh, a shiny. This is Dragon Arcadia, a set spell for Ancient World. And at the beginning of your main phase you gain 1 life. So that really does help you with the lifelink, and you can actually see a picture. I'm pretty sure that's Dulciga just standing almost Lion King-like. Another one of the superhero brave machines, Cyber Police Assault Leader, 621 size 1, similar to 1000 Rapier again. I put Yalahorn in the wrong place. And this is Cyber Police Lightning Chaser, because lightning commits crimes now. Okay, oh, it's even better, the flavor text. You, monster, stop right there! A 421 size 1, part of the Brave Machine series, and when attacked by this card destroys an opponent's monster, put the top card of your deck into your gauge. So this is very similar to the Dragonite Alquiote card, except that it specifically targets monsters as a side cost. The Blade Dragon Emperor Vorpal Sparta, a 632 size 2. So very good to getting through for generic penetrate, well not penetrate, but more critical. This is First Warrior Einder, who is a transform card, 521 size 1. And to pay 1 gauge, you can become Einder and attack the opponent for 5,002, which is really good actually. In exchange, your base defense is 1,000, so that will likely stop size 0s and some size 1s.
Now I really want to see someone cosplay as one of the Quartet 5 at a tournament.
I would enjoy that thoroughly, because they would try and load their decks into the weapons and such. This is Dragon Knight Tadakatsu, who is a 431 size 1 Dragon Knight, and you pay 1 gauge to play him. I think it's the same principle as before, a size 1 that can do 3 damage to the opponent, and it has 4,000 attack, so it's still able to take some monsters if needed, which is why it has the 1 gauge cost. Moon Celestial Selene is part of the Star Series, a 221 size 0, so it's very crit focused for a size 0 card. And this is Loki the Air Guys, who is quite vital to the old, well, the first Asgard build. When this card enters the field, you put all souls from a card on the field into its owner's drop zone, which essentially purges through Fimbulwinter and accelerates Ragnarok. And if you've watched the Avengers, you know Loki is a bad person.
He's just misunderstood.
That's what they all say. And then bam! Ragnarok. Another Procyon Melampus. Mobile Berserker Goma Guts, who is a 725 size 2. And this is the Blazing Dragon Fist Drago Burst, which is a 5,000 power 2 critical fist, which only requires 1 life to activate. That's wonderful. This is new program, 3-man squad Quartet 5. You search your deck for up to 1 size 2 or less of the Quartet 5 monsters, put it into your hand and shuffle the deck. And you can only play 1 of this card once per turn. What's truly fantastic about this is that it's just a rebranding of the made-up Quartet 5 TV show, I suppose. You've got yourself an Einder, a Zvinder, a Drider, and the Infinite Hero Mathematics, and it suggests that all the other ones got kicked off the show for some reason. This is the Dragon Return system, which many of you will recognise from Future Card Buddyfight, in that it's quite vital to the protagonist Gal's deck in the end stages. It's a set spell, and when a monster on your field is returned to the hand or deck, you put the top card of your deck into the gauge, and you do it once per turn. But also, if your life would become 0, you may discard this card from the field, put the top card of your deck into the field to the drop zone, and if it's a spell, your life becomes 2 instead. So it's a similar save mechanic to Glory Seeker in Dungeon World, and also the Crush That Body and Sustain Mine in Darkness Dragon World. It's very much a I'm not quite dead, depending on what I pull. And if you use that in conjunction with Boomerang Dragon, the gauge extra is very helpful. Because you can never have too much gauge.
Never enough gauge.
So this is Dragon Prudent. You can only cast this card during your opponent's turn, and if you don't have a monster in the center, and nullifies the attack. Battle Deity Robo Nightmare, which is a 025 size 1. Which is interesting because it's entirely designed for attacking the player. Because it has no attack, but has criticals and 5,000 defense. Dragonic Repair Shield. I think we've been through this, yep. The Return of Dragon Shield card, which makes us all shudder. And this is the Blizzard Left Brooder, which is the card that partners with the Burning Right Brooder. You can see the similarities here. Both are size 0 cards, and both are fairly power weak in that Burning is 2-1-1, and Blizzard is 1-1-2, so the polar opposites. But Where Burning Brooder was about destroying anything on your opponent's field with 2,000 or less defense, Left Brooder actually sets this up for you. Freezing Prison, if you have a size 3 monster on your field, you rest your Left Brooder, and if you do, give all monsters on your opponent's field minus 5,000 defense. So they're going to rarely survive through that, and you can use Right Brooder to clear them afterwards. This is Hyper Energy, where you put 4 cards from the top of your deck into the Gauge, which is a standard Gauge charging mechanic, but for Hero World. A lot more Gauge, actually, compared to Clear Serenity, for instance. Personal best opening time. Another Capella Aurigar 415. This is Secret Army of the Divine King Voden Shadow. And you pay 2 Gauge to call it, and when it enters the field, you may do one of the following abilities. Either take a weapon from your drop zone and equip it for the pay cost, or choose a set spell from your drop zone and cast it by paying its cast cost. Yep. Yep. Another Disasterquake Dragon. Superior Buddy, where you pay 1 Gauge to set the card, and all Buddy monsters on your field get Penetrate. And this is the Highlight Impact card, which is the new Gao Impact, I suppose, which is Gigantic Crusher. You may only cast it if your opponent has 4 life or less. You've equipped a Fist card, and neither you nor your opponent has a monster in the center. And the difference here is it does the exact same thing as Gargantua Punisher, deals 4 damage, but it only costs 3 Gauge.
So cheaper, better version.
Yeah, so in exchange for having Fist cards, you're essentially paying 1 less Gauge to do the exact same skill.
Wow.
Red Dragon Shield. Another Tadagatsu. Another Masaral Sky-Splitting Armor. This is Windcall Cavalry Voltex Arms, which is a size 3 dragon, 7/4/7, and it cannot be called to the center, and you pay only 1 Gauge to call it. To pay 1 Gauge for a 4 crit monster was pretty unheard of when the game started, so that's a good one to have, especially as a common. And this is Great Fate Frozen Stars. This is the highlight of the star set. You pay 2 Gauge to set it, and if there are star monsters on your left or right, you nullify all the abilities of your opponent's field and in the souls of your opponent's cards. The abilities of this card, Frozen Stars, cannot be nullified, and you can only set 1 Great Fate onto your field. So as long as you have star cards on your left and right, your entire opponent's field is pretty much useless. Which goes into another combo piece, which we may draw into later.
So we're halfway through the box now. So 15 boosters? So this
is number 16. Another Metal Prisoner for riding. Another Masaral. Another Disasterquake. Another Dragon Arcadia. Unfortunately not as shiny as the previous one.
Aww.
And this is the Hero World equivalent to Drum Bunker Dragon, Buddy Police Decker Drum. A 5/3/5 size 2. It's very much Drum's kind of base stats in all across the game. And you pay 1 Gauge to call him, and the act skill, you pay 2 Gauge to destroy a monster on your opponent's field. So Buddy Police Decker Drum is quite an assassin card if you have the Gauge for it. Bear in mind you have Hyper Energy to give you 4 Gauge already. You could use the act skill twice and just clear their field. And a 3 crit is never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing, 3 crit.
Return of the Quartet 5. First Warrior Einder again. Another one of the Secret Army Voden Shadows. A shiny version of the Blazing Dragon Fist Drago Burst. Hero Hunter Zeben, who is a 5/2/5 size 1 of the Quartet 5, but interestingly he seems to be an antagonist. When this card attacks, you pay a Gauge, because you can also pay a Gauge to transform into him, and he has 5,000 defense, so as an item kind of card he is pretty good to get as a shield. But he's Quartet 5, your lives are mine!
Sort of the bad guy from
Yeah, like the anti-hero of the Quartet 5.
Quartet gone bad.
Yeah, maybe that's why they have the new program. So this is the new Raging Spirit Impact. Maximum Manliness! Palm of the Fury Dragon. You can only cast this card if you have a size 3 monster on your field. Ancient World tick. You pay 3 gauge to cast, and you destroy all monsters on your opponent's field and deal 2 damage to your opponent. This is sort of the equivalent to the Tembu Heavenly Arts skill, in that it's focusing more on destroying cards rather than finishing through the life.
Oh, I just love the name of the card.
Maximum Manliness!
Palm of the Fury Dragon.
I would love it if they had like minimal manliness or something like that.
That'd be brilliant.
That'd be
minimal
wonderful.
manliness spell card.
Okay, another serious Laylaps. Another Island Dragon of the Origin, little landmark. Dragonic Survive is a pay 2 gauge to destroy a monster on the field with 6,000 power or less. So it's similar to Dungeon World's Volcanic Eruption card. I can't remember the exact phrase for that. Another one of the 100 Demons, the Rage Thirst Emperor, Grand Wilderness. You pay 1 gauge to call him, a 5/2/5, size 2, and when attacked by this card destroys your opponent's monster, you gain 2 life. So Grand Wilderness is a good way to set up before Cocytus Greed, because if you destroy 1 card, you've already offset the lifelink. And that's a shiny, shiny card. Rigel Orion, who is a Legend World Olympus star, size 1, 3/1/2, and as an axe skill you may discard up to 2 stars from your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number you discarded, which helps you try and draw into stuff like Astreus and Frozen Great Fate, Frozen Stars.
So that's 2 triple Rs we've had so far?
Something along those lines, yes.
Rigel Orion and Ultimate Neo Dragon Drum the Future.
So this is third Warrior Drider, who is the casual one of the 3, as you can see from him sitting down. 3/2/4. Another Blade Dragon Emperor of Vorpal Sparta. Another Battle Deity Robo Sky Dragon. This is Michaela Sword Dragon, who looks really awesome actually. Size 2, 5/3/5, similar to Drum Bunker then. Pay 1 gauge to call, and if you have 5 or more different monsters into your drop zone, this card gains 3,000 power and penetrate. So potentially this could be an 8/3/5 with penetrate, which is good for late game, especially the size 2. This is Dragonblade Drum Sword. You pay 1 life to equip, and if you do not have a monster with drum in its card name on the field, you pay another life, but it's a 6,000 weapon for 2 crit. And when a monster on your field is returned to your hand or deck, for this turn the card gains 1 more critical. So again, if you use Boomerang Dragon, this will be a 6,000 weapon with 3 critical. Which is quite absurd, really. You combo that in with the Dragon Return system. Dragon Prudent again. Another Shield Arm Dragon. That'd be one. Another Yalahorn. Another Dragonite Bat Masterson. And this is Crimson Fist Drago Blaze, which is a 3,000, 3 crit, pay 1 gauge fist.
Nice and simple item.
The fist cards seem to be fairly standard cards right now, but then you have to remember that the Crimson Battlers add effects based on having them there. 1 more Card Serpent. Another Dragonic Repair Weapon. Another Deity Nightmare. And why is there a banana peel here by Hero World in true form? A counter card, you may only cast it when your opponent calls a size 2 or less monster center, and you can rest that monster.
That's fantastic.
Another Ninth Warrior 9 as well. Serious Laylaps again. Another Tadakatsu. A shinier Serious Laylaps. Laylaps pack for all. And this is Starbow Artemis Arrow, which is the star weapon. It's similar to the magic wands that Magic World had, in that it's a 3,000 crit 1. You pay 1 gauge, and this can attack even if there is a monster in your center. This is good because you can link attack with this, whilst with the original Magic World weapons, they were dealt as damage rather than attacking. And here is Stellar Deity Astraeus. This is the prime card along with Frozen Stars, because you pay 2 gauge to call it, a size 2, 6/6, and the star cards on your left and right cannot be destroyed. So essentially, as long as you have Astraeus in the field alongside the Frozen Stars, your opponent's field is not going to get any better anytime soon. It's because they have to try and remove Astraeus, but they cannot use their own abilities.
That sounds difficult.
To say the least. Another Gathering of the Armed Dragon. Another Thrudlemit. Another Dragonic Repair Shield. Battle Deity Support lets you choose a monster in battle and give it counterattack for the turn. And if that monster is a Battle Deity Robo, it gets an additional 4,000 power, 4,000 defense. This is Dragon Knight Shohasho, who is a Penetrate monster, 5/2/3. No cost to call. Drider. Procyon Melampus. Another one of Actinites the Moon. Hero Climax. The spell by Hero World. You may only cast this card if your superhero destroyed 2 or more of your opponent's monsters by attacking them this turn. You gain 2 life, and you can stand an item on your field. So this works with Captain Answer, because if Captain Answer works and triggers, he gains a double attack. So potentially, it's much easier to activate Hero Climax. And bear in mind that when they say item, they can also include ridden and transformed cards. This is Dragon Knight Calamity Jane, who is a double R, and by resting a Dragon Knight on the field, I can place a card from your opponent's gauge into the drop zone. So it's gauge sniping again. A 6/2/3 size 2, and no other costs. So Dragon Knights are still getting support, which is good. Especially because they just got some more with Hyperion last set. It means they can still go toe-to-toe with the Armored Dragons. Another Firewall Cannons to try and purge the opponent's field. Another Battle Deity Sky Dragon. This is Soaring Dragon Fair Skylines. You pay 2 gauge for the spell, and you draw 3 cards and discard 2 of them. So this is very much like Graceful Charity from Yu-Gi-Oh! If that means anything to anyone at this point. This is Chosen Being, a spell for Legend World, where you choose a size 2 or greater star card and give it a double attack. So, you know, we all like double attack. And this is Dragon Kid Ricky. He is a size 0, 3/1/3 Raging Spirit, and he nullifies the lifelink of size 3 Raging Spirits on the field, whilst only costing lifelink 1 himself. So whilst Ricky is on the field, you can spam as many of the Raging Spirits as you want, without repercussions really. Bear in mind that Raging Spirits were the cards that could redirect attacks towards them. So Ricky is pretty vital now in Raging Spirit form. Blade Dragon Emperor of Vorpal Sparta again. Another Dragonic Survive. Another Thrudlemit. And another one of Hero World's excellently named counterspells. Or So the Dream I Had Went. You may only cast this card when your opponent casts a spell, and you may pay 2 gauge to nullify the spell. This is another of Hero World's impact cards, Rampage Blaster. You may only cast it if your opponent has 3 life or less, and you've transformed into the specific card Explosive Takedown Rampage Sonic. You pay 2 gauge and deal 3 damage to your opponent. Another Zyder, another Red Dragon Shield, another Knights of the Moon, and another Vortex Arms. And this is another one of the 100 Demons, and another triple R. Twin-headed Hellhound Orthrus. a 5/2/3 size 2, and you pay 1 gauge to call him, and when this card deals damage to your opponent, you may destroy a monster or item in your opponent's field. So Autoritz is free removal if you can get the attack through, which is very good, especially because he is one of the wider Sarkol, which means Decree of Durahan works, and you can double attack. So if you can get an Autoritz to get through, he can purge through their field rather easily. Another one of the Island Dragons, Little Nanma. Another Bay Rush Drake. Another Yalahorn, this time in shiny foil. A Bronze Giant Talos, a 2/3/6 size 2 for more of a defensive build, and another one of the 100 Demons. And Dragon Extermination Knight Siegfried, who is a hero, 4/2/5, pay 1 gauge, and when this card enters the field, you destroy a monster in your opponent's field with Dragon in the attribute. He also has move, so that's also good for defense. Another one of Reckless Bravery. Another Silas' Guard. Another Radical Leg Dragon. A different card, Fang Slade Drum, which is a 5/2/5 size 2 drum variant with move. Essentially, it's Drum before he becomes Drum Bunker Dragon, and what's nice about this is he shares his stats and has move still, whilst costing nothing. Damage Control is a set spell for Generic World, where you can counter whilst it's on the field during your opponent's turn. You discard a card from your hand, and the next time damage is dealt to you, it's reduced by 2. If one of those cards discarded was a Battle Deity Robo, another 2 is reduced as well. You can only do that once per turn, but it means that the longer you play the game, the more sustain you have.
Is this it?
This is the final pack.
The final booster.
Final booster.
Can't hear it.
Yes. Here we have another Mo Berserker, Goma Guts. Another Dragoburst. Another one of the Sun. Frostworn Naval Vans is one of the Asgard cards, size 0/001, but it's very much a wall card, because if another Asgard card is on your field and this card is in your center, this card cannot be destroyed by an attack. And brilliantly, the last card is the R Martian UFO Takasuke, which everyone knows if they've watched the show, because it makes a really irritating noise and it's an octopus. It's a 4/1/2 size 1 monster, and if you ride this card, it costs 1 gauge to ride it. You may pay a gauge for the Martian Zap Beam skill. If you do, you declare the name of a card and look at all cards in your opponent's hand. If the declared card is among those cards, deal 2 damage to your opponent, and this can be done once per turn. Now, the longer you use Martian UFO Takasuke, the better, because you just control what's in their hand, essentially. And the second time on, you have a very good idea what's in their hand each time. So that's it.
There we are, that's all of the boosters opened from this. So, oh, careful. So, we didn't see all of the rares, but we did open some boosters earlier, and we do have some of the other missing triple R's.
Okay. So this is the second Crimson Chieftain, Burning 4. He is a 8/2/6 size 3 and pay 2 gauge to call him. And items on your field with Fist in the card name gain an extra critical. So crit 3s become crit 4s, etc. But he also has double attack, which is very good, because now you have a Crimson Battler set that can do 3 attacks with 2 cards, all at ridiculous crits. 5th Omni Dragon Lord Tembu, who is one of the new pseudo-protagonists of the series. A 6/3/6 size 3, and he cost call is 2 gauge. When he enters the field, destroy all monsters on your opponent's field, but he's also an Omni Lord card. So you may use this card with all flags, but you can only use up to 1 copy of him if it's not a Dragon World flag. That includes the new Dragon Iron card, despite what they say about the Dragon attribute. Ethereal Overlord Gang the King, a 7/5/4 size 3 with 3 gauge to call, and when an opponent's card attacks, you change the target attack to this card, and if there are 3 or more Raging Spirits in your drop zone, this card gets 6,000 more power. He also has Penetrate and Lifelink 2. Gang the King is essentially the Raging Spirit's finishing move, because after a while you've gone through a lot of your Raging Spirit cards by redirecting, you play Gang the King, and essentially you have a 13,000 5 crit monster that has Penetrate. This is Ultimate Card Burn, and surprisingly we didn't see regular card burn in this set.
That is surprising.
But Ultimate Card Burn is the culmination of Card Burn, Card Rhino, and Card Serpent, who are in here. And he essentially is a 12/3/8 size 3 monster, which you can ride by using the effect of Card Burn. So he discards, you have to take a Card Burn, a Rhino, and a Serpent from your field and put them into drop zone. And then you can search for Ultimate Card Burn to ride. So you have an item here that's got 8,000 defense, and it also has double attack. And then we have Captain Answer, a size 2 monster with 5/4 stats, and transform cost is 2 gauge because he has 4,000 defense, and his act skill is Answer Question. You may pay 1 gauge to do so, and by paying 1 gauge you may declare either monster or spell, put the top card of your deck into your drop zone, and if that card is the right type, for the turn Captain Answer gets double attack.
So that was all the triple R's. There is one other thing special to this set.
Exactly.
There is in fact what they call a secret booster, is it? Secret rares?
Secret rare pack, which follows the playstyle of one of the show's antagonists, Kyoryugan, who is the evil mastermind to Future Card Buddyfight. And these are lovingly, just amazingly shiny. So this is Dragonine, the famous flag. And you may only use cards with dragon in its attribute and generic cards. And your initial hand becomes 4 cards, your initial gauge becomes 2 cards, and your initial life becomes 12. This is the first time a flag card has broken convention by not restricting it to a world. So as long as you fight for Dragonine, you can use dragon cards from Ancient World, Dragon World, Darkness Dragon World, Danger World, anything as long as it says dragon in the attribute, so green dragon, red dragon, like Dragon Lord, that kind of thing. And it's an amazingly nice card, and the combinations are untested as yet, really.
Yeah, so the combinations are nearly limitless.
As part of Dragonine, there are certain cards that require its use, such as the Dragon Throne, and there is actually Kyoryugan right there as well. It's a set spell, and you may only cast this card if your flag is Dragonine, and it allows you to play up to a total of size 4 on your field. This card and items on your field cannot be returned to hand or destroyed, and the ability of this card cannot be nullified. Dragon Throne is obscenely powerful. It lets you play simultaneous size 2s, or size 3 and size 1 at the same time, and it cannot be removed. As part of the size 4 thing, you have Demonic Demise Dragon as the Hacker, who costs 1 creature from your field to the drop zone and 3 gauge. It's a size 4 monster, 10/3/10, and Erasure of History. When he attacks all of the opponent's monsters and the opponent as well. If he deals damage to the opponent, he also destroys an item on their field. And when this card is destroyed, you search your hand or deck for 1 Demonic Demise Sword equal to Buddyf and equip it. This is Demonic Demise Sword equal to Buddyf. It's a 12,000 power 6 crit sword, and you may only equip it by the demise of Demonic Demise Dragon as the Hacker. Demise, demise, demise.
Demise, demise.
For this turn, you nullify the soul guard of monsters this card attacks, and a counter skill is if your opponent's cards attack you alone, you nullify the attack. Equal to Buddyf halves the effectiveness of fields because they have to link attack to try and get through. And he removes the possibility of Soul Guard. Alongside that, there is, in this pack, one final card, which is the Twin Demon Dragon Zahak, who doesn't really look like a dragon, but is a size 2, 5/2/4 dragon. And when he enters the field, you may pay 2 life. By doing so, you can search for 1 Azidahaka or 1 Dragon Throne and put it into your hand and deck. So, Zahak is wonderful as a tutor to set up this amazing combo.
I've got to say that special, those secret rares are absolutely beautiful foiling on them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, absolutely
fantastic.
beautiful. Especially the Dragon Iron.
The Dragon Iron is a wonderful flag, and you just look at that, and it even says secret. Because you're not meant to know. Shh. Don't put... Yep, and we said it on YouTube, I guess.
Damn it, we've told the world. So, that is an unboxing for the latest Future Card Buddyfight set, H-BT01 Neo Enforcer version E. We've shown you all the cards, all the triple R's, and the secret rares, so I think that just about covers everything on this set.
Yeah, it's a very good set. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad it adds some support for some of the older stuff. I like the new hero worlds, especially the card names.
All about the Quartet 5.
Yeah. No,
I know there's been a lot of excitement about this set because people have been watching the show, and there's been about 3 months worth of backlog of cards that are now being released.
Yeah.
The Star cards, the Azzy the Hacker set, basically the Dragon Iron combo piece as well. But at the same time, you've got new cards which you've not seen yet in Buddyfight 100.
So yeah, so that's everything. So every card you've seen here today, you can buy and trade on our single card website, bigorbitcards.co.uk. So subscribe and join us in future when we do some more unboxing videos and do some more interesting Future Card Buddyfight videos, I'm sure. So that's bye from me, Simon.
Bye from Tan.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.